In a land torn by war, a peasant girl rose from the shadows, claiming voices from heaven. Defying kings, leading armies, she turned despair into hope and fear into fire. But betrayal waits in the darkness, whispers of heresy, chains, and the stake. This is the untold legend of Joan of Arc, the Maid of Orléans. In the heart of medieval France, when war and despair darkened the land, a peasant girl was born in 1412 in a small village called Domremy. Her name was Jeanne d'Arc, Joan of Arc. No one could have imagined that this illiterate farm girl, the daughter of simple peasants, would one day defy kings, lead armies, and change the course of history. As a child, Joan grew up amidst the chaos of the Hundred Years' War, a brutal conflict between England and France. Villages burned, fields lay in ruin, and the French crown trembled under foreign rule. But Joan was no ordinary girl. At the age of 13, she claimed to hear divine voices, visions of saints and angels commanding her to drive out the English and crown the true heir, the Dauphin Charles, as King of France. The villagers whispered, was she blessed by God or cursed by madness? Yet Joan herself never doubted. With unshakable faith, she left her home, traveling dangerous roads, determined to meet the Dauphin. At first, she was dismissed as a foolish peasant, a girl chasing dreams. But her conviction, her burning eyes, and her unwavering words shook even hardened soldiers. Against all odds, Joan was granted an audience with Charles. What happened next is shrouded in mystery. In a private meeting, Joan spoke to him with such certainty, such divine authority, that Charles believed. Clad in armor forged for a man, with banner in hand, she rode at the head of French troops, a 17-year-old girl leading warriors into battle. In 1429, France's destiny turned. At the siege of Orléans, Joan charged into the fight, rallying the weary and broken soldiers. Arrows hissed through the air, cannons thundered, and flames lit the night sky. But Joan never faltered. With her voice rising above the chaos, she pushed the French to victory, lifting the siege and igniting hope across the kingdom. From that moment, she was no longer a peasant girl. She was the Maid of Orléans. Her victories paved the way for Charles to be crowned King Charles VII in Reims Cathedral. Joan stood beside him, tears in her eyes, for she had fulfilled the very mission her voices had promised. Yet triumph was short-lived. Power is a dangerous gift, and not all welcome Joan's rise. Whispers of witchcraft, jealousy, and political betrayal began to coil around her name. In 1430, fate struck. During a skirmish near Compiègne, Joan was thrown from her horse and captured by the Burgundians, allies of the English. Her enemies did not see a saint. They saw a heretic, a sorceress, a threat to their rule. Sold to the English, Joan faced a brutal trial. Alone, shackled and humiliated, she stood before powerful judges who sought not truth, but her destruction. They accused her of blasphemy, of cross-dressing in soldier's armor, of claiming divine visions. But Joan, barely 19, stood defiant. I am not afraid, she declared. Still, the verdict was inevitable. Condemned as a heretic, she was sentenced to burn. On May 30th, 1431, in Rouen marketplace, Joan was tied to the stake. The crowd gathered, some weeping, some jeering. Flames rose, crackling, devouring wood and flesh. Yet even in her final moments, Joan's voice rang out, calling upon the name of God. Witnesses swore her last word was Jesus. When the fire died, only ashes remained, but her legend was born. Joan of Arc's life lasted less than 2 decades, yet in those brief years, she bent the course of history. To the French, she was savior and saint. To her enemies, a dangerous heretic. Nearly 5 centuries later, the Catholic Church canonized her as a saint. Today, she stands as a symbol of faith, courage, and defiance. A girl who listened to voices no one else could hear, and in doing so, changed the destiny of nations.